What if the one person who could save your children from their grief wasn't a doctor, a therapist, or even you, but a stranger who quietly stepped into your home? When billionaire Nathan Whitmore returns home unannounced, he expects silence. What he finds instead will shock him, and change everything he thought he knew about love, loss, and healing. Before we dive in, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe and comment below where in the world are you watching from. The Whitmore mansion stands like a monument to success: tall iron gates, white stone walls, manicured gardens trimmed with mathematical precision. It is the kind of home magazines admire and strangers envy. Yet inside, the air feels heavy, as if grief itself has taken residence and refuses to leave. Nathan Whitmore owns empires. Boardrooms fall silent when he speaks. Markets bend to his decisions. But none of that power follows him past the front door. Here, wealth means nothing. The silence swallows it whole. 18 months ago, this house was alive. Laughter once spilled down the grand staircase. Tiny feet raced through the halls. 3 identical voices, sometimes arguing, sometimes singing, filled every room. Elena, Mara, and Sophie Whitmore, 7 years old and inseparable, had turned the mansion into a living thing. And at the center of it all was Evelyn. Evelyn Whitmore had been warmth itself. She played the piano in the evenings, cooked breakfasts that the girls pretended were 5-star meals, and kissed Nathan's cheek every morning before work. When she left for what was supposed to be a routine business trip, she promised she would be home by Friday. Friday never came. The plane crash made headlines for a day. For the world, it was a tragedy among many. For the Whitmores, it was the end of everything they understood. Nathan remembers the moment the call came. He remembers how the room tilted, how his chest felt too tight to breathe, how the words did not make sense no matter how many times they were repeated. He remembers screaming in a way that did not sound human. The girls did not scream. At the funeral, they stand side by side, holding hands, their small black dresses hanging stiffly from their frames. Their faces are calm, almost empty. Guests whisper about how brave they are, how well they are holding up. No one realizes the truth. Something inside the triplets closes that day, quietly and completely. After the funeral, they retreat into their shared bedroom. Toys remain where they are left. Dolls gather dust. The piano downstairs is never touched again. The girls stop asking when their mother is coming home. They stop asking anything at all. Doctors are called. Therapists arrive with gentle voices and colorful charts. Nannies are hired, each more qualified than the last. Nothing works. The girls respond with silence, eyes dull, words rationed as if speech itself costs too much. One by one, the caretakers leave. Nathan watches from a distance, convincing himself that providing everything money can buy is the same as being present. He buries himself in work, flying from city to city, telling himself that time is the only cure for grief. Every return home feels heavier than the last. The house does not welcome him. It reminds him of what he lost and what he does not know how to fix. Nights stretch long and empty. He pours drinks he does not finish. He stares at family photos he cannot bring himself to remove. He avoids the girls' room because the silence there feels accusing. Eventually, the staff suggests hiring someone new. Not a nanny. Not a specialist. Just, help. Nathan barely listens. He signs the papers without looking. By the time the new maid is scheduled to arrive, the Whitmore mansion has already learned how to exist without hope.
2. She arrives quietly without announcement or expectation. Her name is Clara Bennett, and there is nothing about her that suggests she will change anything at all. She does not carry impressive credentials or speak with practiced confidence. She wears simple clothes, keeps her head slightly bowed, and moves through the mansion as if she is careful not to disturb the air itself. The staff barely notices her at first. Clara notices everything. She notices how the sunlight never quite reaches the corners of the house. She notices the way the piano bench is pushed in too neatly, untouched for far too long. She notices the faint scuff marks outside one bedroom door, 3 sets of small shoes that rarely cross the threshold anymore. Most of all, she notices the silence. Clara has learned how to recognize grief that does not cry out. Her own life taught her that. Years ago, she buried someone she loved deeply, someone whose absence still wakes her in the middle of the night. Loss shaped her gently, humbly. It taught her that healing cannot be demanded. It must be invited. So she does not knock on the girl's door that first day. She simply sits outside it. Every afternoon, after her chores are done, Clara settles herself on the floor of the hallway with a book in her lap. She reads aloud, not loudly, not theatrically, just enough for the words to drift beneath the door. Stories about brave children, about kindness, about hope that arrives slowly. Inside the room, Elena, Mara, and Sophie lie on their beds, facing the wall as they have done for months. They do not move. They do not respond. But they listen. When Clara finishes reading, she does not wait for acknowledgement. She whispers a soft, simple prayer instead. Nothing formal. Just gratitude for another day, for breath, for unseen comfort. Then she leaves. She returns the next day. And the next. Some days she reads. Other days she hums, old hymns, lullabies her grandmother once sang. Her voice is gentle and imperfect, but it carries warmth. It fills the space without demanding attention. Slowly something shifts. Mara is the first to turn her head toward the door. Sophie begins to sit up when the singing starts. Elena listens with her eyes closed, lips pressed tight as if holding something back. Weeks pass like this. Nathan is gone most of the time, buried in meetings and negotiations. He does not see the small miracles unfolding under his own roof. He does not hear the soft humming that follows Clara down the halls. He does not notice the way the girls begin to sit closer together when she reads, or how their shoulders relax when her voice fills the room. One afternoon, Clara places 3 coloring books just inside the doorway and walks away without a word. The next day, 1 page is filled with careful strokes of yellow. The day after that, 2 pages. Faith works quietly here. It shows itself in routine, in patience, in love that does not announce itself. Clara never speaks of fixing the girls. She only shows up, every single day, believing that presence itself is a form of healing. And while the Whitmore mansion remains outwardly silent, something inside it begins to breathe again.
Nathan steps out of the sleek black car, briefcase in hand, thinking the house will greet him with the same emptiness it always does. He had returned early from a business trip, hoping to steal a few hours with his daughters, unaware of the quiet revolution that had been unfolding in his absence. The front door opens, and instead of the familiar heavy silence, he hears voices. Soft, tentative, yet unmistakably melodic. He freezes, a chill running down his spine. The sound grows clearer as he moves down the hallway, a harmony, delicate and untrained, yet utterly beautiful. His heart begins to race. Could it really be his daughters? Singing. With someone? He follows the sound to the bedroom, his hand tightening on the doorframe. And there they are, Elena, Mara, and Sophie, sitting cross-legged on the floor, eyes shining with something he hasn't seen in 18 months, joy. Clara kneels among them, guiding the rhythm gently, encouraging but never commanding. The girls take turns leading, their tiny voices weaving together like threads forming a fragile tapestry of sound. Nathan's chest tightens, a mixture of awe, disbelief, and something darker, jealousy. How could this stranger, this maid, have what he could not? He had money, power, influence, yet here she was, coaxing laughter and life from his children with nothing but patience and love. Anger bubbles in his throat, sharp and unrelenting. He slams the door open, startling Clara and the girls. What is this? His voice is raw, unsteady. You don't belong here. Clara rises slowly, her hands open, calm and steady. Sir, I'm just helping them feel safe again. They've been hurting. Nathan's hands clench into fists. Hurting? You think you can fix this? You have no idea what they've been through. The girls freeze, eyes wide, their small harmony shattered by the thunder of his voice. Elena buries her face in her hands. Mara curls into a ball. Sophie's little mouth trembles. In a burst of anger, Nathan sweeps the coloring books, music sheets, and small toys from the floor. They scatter like fallen leaves. I don't need anyone helping them. I'll handle this myself. Clara does not fight back. She kneels and speaks softly, I understand your pain, Nathan. But taking it out on them, it only deepens the hurt. The girls retreat to their beds, the room reverting instantly to silence. Nathan steps back, chest heaving, staring at what he has destroyed. The sound of music, laughter, and hope is gone. All that remains is the weight of his own failure. For the first time in months, Nathan feels the raw emptiness of the mansion, and of his heart. The realization hits him with a painful clarity, his absence, his anger, his pride, have kept the healing at bay. And now, even as he stands there, he wonders if it can ever return. The room is still. The air heavy with the echoes of voices that might never sing again. And Nathan Whitmore is left to confront the depth of what he has lost, not just his wife, but the trust and fragile joy of his daughters. The first step toward change has begun, though he does not yet know how to take it. The mansion feels colder than ever. Nathan walks its empty halls, each room echoing with the silence he created. The piano stands untouched, the toys lie abandoned, and the girls, his daughters, remain behind closed doors, their small bodies curled in a fortress of grief and fear. For the first time, Nathan cannot buy his way out of this emptiness. No boardroom victories, no lavish gifts, no vacations or tutors can undo what he has done. He tries to speak to them. Girls. But his words falter at the bedroom door. The walls, thick with months of silence, hold them in a world he cannot reach. Their trust, so easily broken, feels impossible to reclaim. Days pass. Nathan isolates himself, sleeping in a guest room, eating alone, pacing endlessly. Clara continues her work quietly, careful not to force contact, but Nathan notices. He sees the small ways she moves through the house, gently, without anger or impatience. He notices how the girls peek from their room when she passes, how Mara hums a note under her breath, how Elena's fingers clutch a forgotten coloring page. And guilt begins to eat at him. He realizes that love is not possession, and wealth is not the same as presence. He begins to confront the truth he has long avoided, he was never there when it mattered most. The girl's silence was a mirror of his own absence. His pride, his obsession with control, and his fear of weakness had robbed them of their father. Nathan reaches out. Not with demands. Not with gifts. He starts with small gestures, coffee delivered to the girl's door, a quiet knock, a whispered, "I'm here," outside the hallway. At first, they do not respond. But he does not leave. He sits. He waits. He hires a grief counselor not as a replacement for love but as a guide, and attends each session alongside the girls. He listens more than he speaks. He shares memories of their mother without tears of performance, honest, human grief that they can understand. He also reaches out to Clara. I was wrong, he says one evening, voice trembling. I tried to take what was never mine to take. Please, help me make this right. Clara studies him, her eyes calm yet cautious. I've never wanted to take your place, she replies. But love needs consistency, not anger. If you are ready to be present, I will stand with you. Nathan's humility begins to reshape the household. He cleans without command, reads bedtime stories, and simply sits on the floor when they invite him. Slowly, the girls begin to trust again. Mara ventures closer. Elena lowers her guard, smiling shyly. Sophie speaks for the first time in weeks, her voice barely above a whisper, "Daddy." The journey is slow. Healing is not a single act, but a mosaic of moments, small, fragile, and deeply human. Nathan sacrifices his usual control, his hours of work, even his social life, realizing that presence, patience, and love are the true forms of power. The mansion, once a mausoleum of grief, begins to breathe again. Light streams into corners left dark for months. Laughter, tentative at first, drifts down the hallways. Nathan Whitmore begins to understand that redemption is earned not through wealth or words, but through consistent, humble love, and that faith, when lived through actions, has the power to rebuild what was thought lost forever. This act ends not with perfection, but with possibility. A family fractured by grief and pride now has a chance to reclaim life together. The next step, Nathan knows, will be to prove that this change is lasting. The mansion waits, patient, for the sound of voices that will not easily be silenced again. The first rays of morning sunlight spill across the Whitmore mansion, painting the marble floors in gold. Nathan sits quietly at the edge of the girl's bed, Elena curled against his side, Mara holding his hand, Sophie resting her head on his shoulder. Clara kneels nearby, her presence steady, calm, and warm. The room is alive, not with extravagance or perfection, but with something far more powerful, trust, presence, and love that has endured. The girls hum softly, a melody they once only whispered to themselves. Nathan hums along, tentative at first, then stronger, and Clara joins in. The music is imperfect, but it is theirs. Each note carries months of fear, grief, and healing, a testament to their journey. The mansion itself seems to exhale, walls no longer oppressive but alive with memory and hope. Nathan looks at Clara, gratitude and humility etched into his features. "Thank you," he whispers. "For never giving up on them, or me." Clara smiles gently. "You did this too, Nathan. You chose to stay. You chose to show up." The girls giggle, a sound that feels like sunlight breaking through clouds. Mara runs to the window, pulling back the curtains to let the morning light flood in. "Look, Daddy. It's a new day." Nathan smiles, feeling tears well in his eyes. He realizes that for all his wealth, he has found something far greater, a home filled with love, faith, and the presence that cannot be bought. He kneels to plant a small flower in the windowsill, a simple gesture that carries immense symbolism. Life, like the fragile bloom, can be nurtured back from darkness if tended with patience, care, and faith. Clara rests a hand on his shoulder. "Healing isn't a moment, Nathan. It's a choice we make every day, to show up, to love, to forgive." Nathan nods, looking at his daughters. "I will choose it, every day." The girls embrace him together, and for the first time in 18 months, the Whitmore mansion feels like home. Outside, the garden glows in sunlight, and inside, hearts glow with restored warmth. The music of small voices, laughter, and gentle prayers fills the air, a quiet symphony of redemption. Nathan reflects on the truth he has learned: wealth without love is empty, control without compassion is destructive, and presence, faith-filled, consistent, and humble, is the most powerful gift a person can give. He whispers a prayer of thanks, not for his empire, but for the love that has returned to his home, and for the grace that has taught him to be a father, a partner, and a man capable of true redemption. And in that moment, the Whitmore family begins again, not perfect, not without scars, but together, healed by love that stays. The mansion, once a silent witness to grief, now echoes with life, hope, and faith renewed. The camera of imagination lingers on the three little girls singing with the maid and their father, a soft light falling through the windows, a symbol that even after the darkest loss, love, presence, and faith can bring healing that lasts forever.